Like, that's the first boy I got digmatized over. Like, I was digmatized, child. Oh my god. Oh shit. Hello everybody. And welcome back to my channel. My name is Melanie Lorraine, if you are not familiar. But if you are a returning subscriber, hey girl. If you are not subscribed to my channel, please make sure that you do, to be a part of the gang. You know what I'm saying? I upload videos every Monday. My channel is lit. It's fun because I'm funny as hell and all the good stuff, but you gotta subscribe in order to see that. Do you see what I'm saying? So in today's video, if you are subscribed, then you know, and you see my previous video, then you know I uploaded this makeup look right here that you see in front of you. But that's not what this video is about. This video is a story time because I was thinking a couple days ago, I'm like, I technically lost my virginity 3 times. I know that's like impossible, but when y'all hear the story, let me know what y'all think down below in the comments section. I'm gonna break down each story, each time, each scenario, each person. That's it, like a hoe. No, it doesn't. And I'm like, damn, I really lost my virginity 3 different times, because each time something different happened that is supposed to happen all in one, but not really. I mean, I was a late bloomer when it came to talking to boys and having sex and that whole thing. I'm 27. I lost my virginity when I was 23. I held on for dear life, child, okay? I held on for dear life. I was not giving it up. I was not letting it go. Back then, my virginity was so precious to me, and I just didn't want to do it with any old body. I didn't want to do it because everybody else was doing it. I've been pressured back then, but I stayed strong because I held on to it until I was 23. But like back in middle school, when everybody was doing it and everybody was losing their virginities, I wasn't. I was like literally the only virgin left on the entire planet. Okay, all of my cousins, my friends, everybody that I knew was having sex and losing their virginity and the whole nine. I was not, because I just cared so deeply and so strongly about having sex and losing my virginity, because I wanted my first time to be special and magical. And you know, you have this idea of what your first time is going to be like, and it ain't that. Trust me when I tell you. So when I finally did do it, lost it 3 different times. You know what I'm saying? You know how it hurts, it's really painful, and then your hymen breaks and then you bleed and this, that, and the third. All of that happened on 3 different occasions, because once I lost my virginity and I started to be more, I started to become more familiar with sex and experiment, I started to actually really enjoy it. I'm a very sexual person, I would like to say. That might be a little TMI, but this video is TMI. But I mean, it is what it is. I was just thinking, and I had a blog when I was still a virgin. It was called Virginity for Real. Virginity for Real. It still should be up somewhere on Google if you Google Virginity for Real. And I talked about how it was important for me to hold on to it and all of those things, and then especially what happened after I lost it. I don't think I really talked about what happened after I lost my virginity, but I can't remember. But I definitely did talk about everything leading up to it, while I was single, my relationship that I was in, and that whole thing. So about 4 years ago, I was in school, because I'm 27. I lost my virginity when I was 23, so that's 4 years. So it was 4 years this month, actually. So I was in school. I went to IUP. For those of you who do not know, I'm an IUP alumna. And I had like this crush on this boy that I seen. I was talking to the boy who was my boyfriend, I was talking to him. He was back home in Philly, back here in Philly. I was in Indiana. Me and him were talking, but we weren't necessarily in a relationship yet. So the boy that I kind of had this sexual experience with first, he was from IUP. He was already graduated, but he still hung around. Don't really know his backstory, don't really care. And when me and one of my friends would go out to the bars, because I didn't start going to the bar until my junior year of college, because the friends that I had weren't 21 yet, and then the friends that I met that were 21 and my age, they were the ones who kind of introduced me to the bar scene, because I really wasn't into like going to college parties. I did go, but I really wasn't like, I didn't really care for them. So when the bar scene came around, I got introduced to that. I was at the bar probably like 3, 4, 5 times a week. I was there for Thirsty Thursday. I was there for Friday, Saturday. Bar scene back then was lit. Like now I'm quite sure it's corny as ass, but whatever. So the boy who was number one, I guess you want to call it, the one I had a crush on, I don't want to say that I was pressured into having sex, but now that I think about it, I think I did. And I think my friend who kind of set up the whole thing set me up. But I met him, whatever, and I would see him at the bar a couple of times, and he followed me on Twitter. And one night, I remember when we was at the bar, he kept looking at me, and I kept looking at him, and I'm like the fuck is you looking at? So when I got back home to my dorm, well, got back into my room from the bar, he DM'd me on Twitter and was like, was that you? Or I think I saw you at the bar. And I'm like, yeah, that was me. Like, why are you saying nothing? Why are you just being weird and not, you know, come up to me and say hi or speak or anything like that? So that happened. So then the next time I saw him, I don't remember if it was like the next night I went to the bar or like sometime down, whatever. But the next time I did see him, we actually started talking and communicating. And I think the next time after that was when we was sitting down at the bar. Friend was with me, and his friend and him was there too. And we were just talking, busting it up, and it was time to, like, so later on that night, it was time to go home. And when it was time to go home, everybody was trying to figure out, you know, what I was going to do. Because we were talking about, wanted to know if I was going to, you know, go home with him or go back to my room or whatever. So I'm sitting there, all the people in my face, and I got to make this decision. So that's how the pressure part came in. And I was like, I'm gonna go with him. I walked my friend. I remember because it was in February. I forgot what day, but it was in February, and it was snowing. By the time we left the bar at like 2:30 in the morning, 3 o'clock, whatever, it was snowing. And I walked my friend halfway home. Me and him actually walked her halfway home, and then me and him turned back around and walked back the opposite direction of where we came from, to go to his apartment and end our night together. So I get to his place, and we kissing and making out and the whole nine. And so when it was time to like do, this was my first time, I want to say, being like not vulnerable, but like open to the possibility of me having sex. I haven't done anything yet. Well, I've done some things, but like it has never gone as far as it has went when it went the way it went with him. He was almost my first everything. He was the first person to do a lot of things to me and with me. I'm not gonna get into too much detail, but just know it was a lot of firsts with him, okay? So after we performed, well, after oral sex happened, it was time to the next step. And when that was about to happen, I was laying down on my back. When it was time for him to do his part, and you know, something was fighting him. I wasn't like fighting him like, no, get off me. It wasn't like that. But I was not letting him, you know what I'm saying? But because it hurt. It hurt so bad. Like, oh my God, I didn't want that pain, but a little bit got in, you know what I'm saying? And I was just like, no, no, this isn't it. So after that happened, we fell asleep. After that whole thing, because I wasn't fighting it, but something in me would not like spread my legs to like let him in completely, but he got in there a little bit, you know what I'm saying? So we went to sleep. I woke up probably like 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning, and I was like, I need to get the fuck out of here because this is not, nope. It was like 5:30 in the morning and I left. Like, I got up, got my clothes, and I walked home 5:30 in the morning. It was still snowing and I just get fucking daddled. When I got home, I went to sleep. When it was time, because you know you're supposed to pee after sexual intercourse, which I did. When I woke up the next morning, I had to go to the bathroom because I didn't have to go to the bathroom that night, but I did go to the bathroom the next morning, and when I did, it burned because, you know, I was tore open just a little bit. This is a lot of information, and it did burn. And you know, I woke myself. It was a little bit tiny, a little bit of blood. Number two happened a month later. With my boyfriend, the one who was back at home. By that point, he did become my boyfriend. And March 7th, I remember March 7th was the first time we had sex. And when I knew him for a very, very long time. Since I was in the 8th grade, we knew each other from way back when. When we finally did it, same thing happened. I was laying on my back. He put his joint on, and then he put his joint in. And I kind of had to like fake the hurt of it. This is going to sound real horrible of me. Because I didn't necessarily cheat because we were not boyfriend and girlfriend. We weren't boyfriend and girlfriend until that day we had sex. And when we was doing it, it still hurt a little bit. Don't get me wrong, like it hurt. But it didn't hurt as much as it happened, as much as it hurt the first time it happened. So that was like full on intercourse. He was in there and doing his thing, and that whole thing happened. So I was home for spring break that whole entire week. So when we got finished doing it the first time, I think we did it again that same day. And then the whole entire week I was home. I would go over there, and then we would do it some more. So I was completely no longer a virgin. Nothing, none of that. So I went back to school. Me and the boy who did it for the first time, me and him kind of like fell off, I guess. He was being real weird, acting real weird. I don't know why, but I didn't care, whatever. I finished out that semester. When I went home for summer break, me and my boyfriend was going at it as much as we could, when we could. It wasn't the best, but because I didn't know and I didn't have anything to compare it to, and I was a virgin and I didn't know what the hell was going on, but he knew, I was just like, oh, this must be it. You know, it felt good sometimes it didn't. So by the end of that summer, me and him, unfortunately, fortunately, broke up. That relationship was just toxic. It was really bad. It was just a lot, and I didn't want to be a part of it anymore. It was literally time to let go. The only reason why I held on for so long was because of the time that we both put into each other. Like I said, I known him since I was like the 8th grade, and he was always the boy that was just consistent in my life, you know what I'm saying? But when it was time to let go, I let go, and I let go for good. I met some other guy before I went to school for my senior year back in August. So I broke up with my boyfriend in June. I met somebody else in August, but me and him didn't do much, couldn't do much. At this point, I was no longer a virgin. I had let it go. It was over. It was done. I was out here. When I did go back to school in August, the end of August, I met somebody else the beginning of September. Now, this situation was kind of what I deserved, okay? This The third time I lost my virginity was when I met this guy early in September, my senior year of college. God bless his heart. So me and one of my girlfriends, it was welcome weekend. Me and one of my girlfriends, we went out to the bar because, you know, welcome weekend is like the real big welcome back weekend for college. You know what I'm saying? Before the semester starts, everybody just goes out that whole entire weekend or whatever. And that's what happened. So we went back to our old stomping grounds, our favorite bar. And I met this guy. And I was sitting at one table. He was sitting at another table. But we were kind of like directly across from each other. And he kept like looking at me. And he kept looking at me. And so when I would look at him, me being sarcastic and smart mouth that I am, I'm like, the fuck is you looking at? You know what I'm saying? And he started talking, but I couldn't hear what he was saying. I think this was a setup. Because I couldn't hear what he was saying, I told him to come over to me to tell me what he was saying. And that's why I think he was talking so low the way he was, because he wanted me to call him over. We didn't necessarily exchange numbers yet. And so, but the whole entire night we was drinking and talking and dancing the whole night. He didn't go to IUP, but he wasn't a townie either. Like, he went to school not too far. We saw each other the next day, I think, because I think that was a Friday night. So we saw each other again on Saturday night. That's when we exchanged numbers. Now, Sunday, so that Friday I met him. That Saturday we exchanged numbers. And then that Sunday we met up again because I was being a little fast ass. When we exchanged numbers that night, him and his cousin and then me and my best friend walked back to my dorm room. And, well, my dorm. We were sitting outside and we were just talking like literally the whole entire night. I think we came home at like 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. We stayed outside and we was all talking to each other until like 4:30 in the morning. So when I finally got in my dorm, I got out of the shower, I got settled. He texted me and he told me, you know, it was nice to meet me and that he hoped to link up sometime again. So I said, oh yeah, no doubt. Next time, don't bring your cousin with you. So he was like, oh, I didn't know if he was on that type time and I didn't want to assume, so blah, blah. So I'm like, no biggies, no worries. It's all good. So I went to sleep that night, woke up the next day. I had homework to do. So I started doing my homework like later on that evening. And he texted me. He just asked me, you know, what was up? Did I eat? Blah, blah. Or whatever. And I told him, you know, he can come over and we can watch a movie or whatever. So he was down with it. And I got up, got in the shower, freshened up. Because I already knew who was hitting for. Because I wanted it to happen. Because I was setting this whole thing up. So I had got out of the shower, put some clothes on. But I put like a tank top on and some sleep shorts. Some shorts that I was gonna go sleep in, but I had no panties on underneath. So when he got there, I shut the door. And I keep the lights on though. The lights was on. So we got into my bed and we started watching Orange is the New Black. We literally sit there for a whole hour and watched that one episode, didn't speak, didn't talk, nothing. I was really into the show. So when the show was over, he like literally closed my laptop and he was like, you know, let's just talk, let's get to know each other, blah, blah, blah. So I said, all right, cool. He asked me one question and then lead to some answers. But then me, having my mind always in the gutter, I said something freaky. So he was just like, oh, word, oh, yeah, blah, blah. So I'm like, yeah. So then I told him to go turn the light out. And he came back in the room, came back in the bed, and he performed oral sex on me. And when he did that, I reached a climax. And that never happened to me before. So when he did that, I was sitting there like so shocked. I was so like, wow, like my mind was literally blown because I didn't know that could happen. Like, I could do it myself, obviously, but like having somebody else do it for you 1,000 times better. It's like literally out of this world. And that was amazing. So he was like, that never happened to you before? Like, you never did that before? And I'm like, no. And then he like, you want to do it again? And I'm like, no. Because I was, don't touch me. So So when that happened, we did end up having sex, but everything was fine. Everything was cool. So he left that night, like a little later on that night or whatever. And then I think that next weekend, that was on Sunday, so he came back Thursday. So on Thursday, this is where the third time come in. So that Thursday he come back and we handle our business. So he gets up to go to the bathroom and I'm just laying there. It's dark. He opened the door and he went to the bathroom and he, peed and then washed his hands. But then when he turned the lights on in the bathroom, I could hear him saying things like, "Oh shit, oh my god, yo, oh." So I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, the fuck is he talking about? He come back in the room, flicked the light on, and he was like, "Yo, get up." I'm like, "Why?" He said, "Come on, you gotta get up right now." I said, "Why?" He was like, "Just get up." So he flicked the light on, and then I looked at my bed. It was all this blood on my sheets, on my pillows, on my body, on my legs, in between my legs, on the doorknobs, on the light switch. It was blood everywhere. So I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I know this can't be my period. My period just went off 2 weeks ago, way before any of this happened. So I'm like, it can't be my period. So I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And so he like, "You okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He like, "Do you feel any pain, any soreness, anything at all?" And I'm like, "No, I feel fine. Like everything is fine." So I'm sitting there thinking like, why the hell is all this blood on my bed? Like when I say it was everywhere, it was everywhere. Like, oh my god, like a murder scene. Like it was so much blood. So I sat down on the bed and I'm sitting there like not embarrassed, but like embarrassed because I'm like, I know my body better than this for this to be like my cycle. My cycle just went off. There's no way it could come back on. I mean, it could, but I know better than mine wouldn't have come back on after it, has gone off. So I'm like, why the hell is all this? But I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, what in the world? And I'm a little confused. I'm a little embarrassed. I'm a little ashamed. And he's like, don't, be embarrassed or be ashamed. I'm a grown-ass man. Like, a little blood don't scare nobody. He was just very cool about the whole situation. Like, very mature. He didn't get freaked out or anything like that. He handled the situation very well. He was like, "Come on, I can help you clean yourself up. If you want me to, just let me know what you want me to do." And I was like, "No, I'm alright." So then he got like a wet rag and he started like wiping me down, wiping all the blood that was in between my legs and everything like that. So when he finished helping me get myself together and clean up everything, whatever, he left and then I went to bed. So I called my aunt. Now I think I called my best friend who lived down the street. I called her. I'm like, "What you doing?" She like, "Watching porn." So I'm like, okay. And then I showed her. I flipped my camera around and I showed her, or I think I took pictures and showed her. I don't remember. And I showed her about, and I told her about all the blood that's on my bed. And then she was like, "He probably either ripped you open or he tore your hymen or whatever." So I'm like, huh? But I already had sex twice and, a little bit of blood came out with the other two situations and scenarios. Why all of a sudden and why so much? And then I asked my aunt the next day. I told her and she pretty much said the same thing. And then I even went to the doctors the next day to make sure I was fine and make sure everything was intact. I went to our health center. And they examined me or whatever, and she was like, I told her, I said I was, having sex last night, and then I didn't wake up, but I had got up that same night, and I just discovered all of this blood in my bed, and then she was like, "Well, you are tore a little bit inside there, and blah, blah, blah," because his thing was like, I think I played a joke with him, too. I think he called me that same day or the next day and he was like, "You okay?" And I'm like, "No, I had to go to the hospital. They told me that you popped a cyst on my ovaries." And that whole thing, she was like, "What? Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Do you want me to come to the hospital? Do you need anything? And still to this day, I never told him that I was joking. I never told him, psych no, you know, jokes over. So still to this day, he probably still thinking that he really like fucked up my insides. Like, that's the first boy I got digmatized over. Like, I was digmatized, child. Oh my God. I'm just grateful to have experienced such a magical time of my life. That whole entire year, my whole entire senior year of college, it was me and him just going at it like rabbits. Oh my God. But I was young, and the other two situations weren't really good. And so when he came around, it's like he made up for all of the other experiences. Yeah, it was amazing. Let me all know what you think. Subscribe to my channel before you leave, and give this video a thumbs up, and let me know what you guys think. I will see you all in my next one. Bye.